Yeah, go on.
So, Football Waffle, take one. 3, 2, 1,
Sue!
action.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Waffle with myself, Jay Cooper, alongside as always Jacob Cross and Matthew Walker-Mills. Gents, how are we?
Ladies first.
Thank you.
Ladies first, hits his own microphone.
I'm very good, thanks. Dissertation completed, so I'm happy for that. Ready for the summer. I haven't even got my headphones on, so I don't even know how I can even hear you at the moment. I can't hear what anyone's saying. There we are, that's a lot better. But yeah, I'm feeling good, mate. What about you?
I'm alright. Didn't have to do a dissertation, so I suppose that's somewhat a bit better.
I mean, you got that present documentary. That's the word.
Which, yeah, it didn't end the way I probably would have wanted, but enough said about that. But today I'm feeling alright. Going for a drink after. So
good to hear. Well, we've plenty to discuss from the English football pyramid, and we'll start right at the top. I think in recent weeks we've seen Arsenal give City enough to get them ahead in the Premier League title race. For the first time since we've been recording these podcasts, they are the frontrunners in the title race. And it's because of results that Arsenal have had, where they let 2-0 lead slip against Liverpool, and they went 3-1 behind before saving a draw against Southampton. And then eventually when City City hosted Arsenal at the Etihad, it was a 4-1 rout. At this point, I think it's fair to say that City are probably going to win the league.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. I think Arsenal, unfortunately for them, they've just had a few games where they just haven't really been themselves. They don't look like the team that they were, in the first half of the Premier League, where they were absolutely dominating all the results. And at the moment, it just doesn't really look like they've got enough fight in them.
the big thing as well, if you look at the games that City have got coming up as well, you think there's probably one or two sticky games, whereas Arsenal, the opposite can be said. They've got the more difficult run out of the two sides. So I think we're all in agreement that City probably are going to have the easiest route to the title, but sometimes complacency can be an issue. But with Pep Guardiola as your manager, it very rarely creeps in, doesn't it?
It's a conversation I was having with a friend who's actually a Chelsea fan, so she was very happy, in the same way that I'm sure you are, that Arsenal probably aren't going to win the league at this point. But we were saying that with this Man City team, you can't give them anything. Like, there's teams, like, if this was the other way around, then it was City who were ahead in the league table, and then they'd lost out on a weekend that Arsenal had won. Let's say it was just a bit of a freak act. Like, City lost 2-1 to Brentford, didn't they, earlier this season? If that had happened last weekend, let's say, instead of City against Arsenal, it was City against Brentford and Arsenal against a team that they just beat, we would still be sitting here going, yeah, but City aren't going to make that mistake again, and Arsenal might. Whereas the shoe on the other foot, we're going, yeah, City aren't going to let this go. Like, that's the difference in, like, the sort of mentality of both teams.
Well, it's the tenacity element that you see from City, that ruthless nature that they possess. When they respond so well, and so often we've seen that all throughout the season. When people have thought their backs are against the wall, they go and prove to people on the biggest stages, the likes of when they're playing the top derby games against Man United and bypass them 6-1. When they play Arsenal, for instance, in the previous weeks, they go and thump them 4-1. And let's face it, 4-1 was probably
huge result. It
was probably a credit to. It probably flattered Arsenal a little bit, because I think it could have been 4-0 by half time easily.
I don't know. I don't think Arsenal necessarily played, but I think Arsenal probably played worse against Southampton than they did against City.
They just didn't turn up, no, I don't feel.
Well, they didn't turn up against Southampton, really. It's just that against the Premier League's bottom side, you're going to have more of a chance to fight back when you've got incredible players like Odegaard and Saka and Jesus. Those players that can produce magical things going forward, even when the team's not looking great. Just out of nowhere, they can just put one in from the edge of the area, something like that.
Well, we saw that finish last night.
Yeah, we did, exactly. Well, we'll come to that. Yeah, exactly. But with when you have those players and you're playing against a lackluster team, that might be enough to carry you. It's essentially the PSG motto. That's what they do in Ligue 1. But when you're playing against Man City, it doesn't work.
I think for Arsenal, what's important now in the last few games is, although yes, they may have let the title slip, we don't know yet, because City have still got Brentford and Brighton, which are two big games really for City, especially with the form that they're in at the moment. But I think for Arsenal now, they've just got to they have got to keep going. They've got to keep that positive mentality, because although maybe they don't win the title this season, they've still got Champions League football, which they haven't had for such a long time. And
like 6 years, I bet now, since Arsenal have been in the Champions League.
That's pretty big for them, especially if they can really show. I know they didn't show much in Europa League, but if they can show a lot in Champions League football next year, then it'll definitely boost the hopes up.
Do you think that's because they were getting sidetracked with the Premier League stuff? Do you think that their founding mission was more so on the emphasis on the Prem?
Winning the league was way more important than the Europa League at that point, and I think unfortunately, like I say, they have let results slip, but they have shown a lot of tenacity and what the team is all about, especially with some of the players in that team as well.
Well, you look at the youth products that are coming through Arsenal, I think I can probably say comfortably here on the podcast, you can quote me if you want, feel free, but I think if you look at the academy systems across England, Arsenal are right up there in terms of the turnover in youth products and youth prospects that seem to come through. They get their recruitment bang on. The development off the pitch and on the pitch is fantastic. And you think about players like Saka who have just filtered into that Arsenal team slowly, but are now established worldwide superstars. There's so much to be proud of and so much to look forward from an Arsenal standpoint, that I don't think that they can put this season down as a disappointment because it fell away at the final hurdle.
Oh, absolutely. It's not a disappointment by any means. It's such an improvement on recent. They've not been in the Champions League. Did Emery ever take them to the Champions League? I'm not even sure.
He probably took them to the Europa League because
they were in the Europa League.
Well, that's what he does. But
they got to the Europa League final and faced Chelsea, didn't they?
Beat them, didn't they?
No, they beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final a couple of seasons ago. That was under Emery. But they did lose in the Europa League final. But when it comes to... Yeah, they got battered. When it comes to Arsenal, though, this season is a giant step forward. And what you're saying there about the recruitment and the youth development and everything that they have going on, it's so much better than in recent years. Like, some of the players that they've signed in the last 2 years or so are now pivotal to that team. Like, Ødegaard is the club captain. Saka's broken onto the scene. Ramsdale is incredible. Yeah. He makes some unbelievable saves.
We can have this discussion now.
What are you going to say? Are you about to tell me that Ramsdale's not a good goalkeeper?
No, I'm not going to say he's not a good goalkeeper. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper. But I don't think he's any better than the likes of Pickford and Nick Pope.
I don't think he's better than
like
Pope.
Pickford, well, you think about the modern day goalkeeper. What does it entail? Distribution, being able to play out from the back. And I feel more nervous with Ramsdale in between the sticks than I would with someone like Pickford. I think
Ramsdale's a better shot stopper.
Yeah, but if we going back to the argument, the modern day keeper, you don't necessarily have to be the best shot stopper. There's so much more to.
I think also what you've got to filter into that factor. Don't get me wrong, I half-heartedly agree, but.
And because you're a Spurs fan.
No, but Ramsdale is younger as well, so he's still got time and room to develop. I don't think he's that much, because I think
24, 25, isn't he?
He's around that. I'd say he's sitting around that age.
Yeah,
he was at Sheffield United quite young.
No, he is. He's young, but I feel like Roy Keane hearing what you've just said, that the modern day goalkeeper, it's not all about shot stopping. And all right, yeah, admittedly it isn't, but that is his job.
Feels like you're talking about David De Gea.
That's his job.
That's his job,
That's his job. Literally. If you're a goalkeeper and you concede 5 goals in a game, but every single clearance you make lands at the feet
I'm not quite saying it like that.
I know you're not, but think about what you can take from that. Come on. Of course you have to stop shots. That's the point of being able to use the big hands that you have.
It's like, look at De Gea, for example. Great shot stopper, but distribution-wise, absolutely shocking.
Lloris.
Lloris.
Look
at Lloris at the moment.
He's
just he came back from injury and now he's injured again. I think at this point
Do you think he just needs to hang up the boots and retire?
Personally, just because of his previous injuries and because of his age as well, I don't think he's going to get any better. So it just doesn't seem worth it to keep going.
He's 36. I reckon he leaves Spurs at the end of this season.
Yeah,
he's retired from international football. He's had a bad season with Tottenham in the league. He had a great World Cup, strangely, but
there's a few players isn't there?
He's had a bad league season.
Well, we were talking about Enzo Fernandez last night, weren't we?
Yeah, we were, yeah. But
I think back on track with Arsenal. I think yes.
Go ahead.
They should be proud of the season they've had. So I think in general,
Yeah, and they will be optimistic as well, because it's a massive step forward from what they've been used to, which is Europa League, fairly boring football. Like, do you remember at the start of last season when there were all the trust the process memes because Arsenal were bottom of the league for like the first 5 weeks because they just had a really bad start to the season? Like, they got beaten by, I think it was Brentford and then Chelsea. Like, Brentford's first game in the Prem beat Arsenal 3-0.
Yeah.
Then they lost to Chelsea and like one of Lukaku's only good games in his return, and then Man City absolutely munched on them.
5-1.
I think it's 5-0.
Was it 5-0?
I don't think they scored in their first 3 games. And you know, there were all the trust the process, everything was going, and now look what's happened. They've led the Premier League up until mid-April, and all right, yeah, they've stumbled, and you can't stumble against this Man City team. They are the final boss of the Premier League in the same way that Man United were 10, 15 years ago. But they should absolutely be proud of what they've been able to do this season, and the fact that the majority of that squad are young players, like with years to go.
Yeah.
If they can keep Ødegaard and Saka and Jesus, and I mean they'll keep Jesus, he's only just signed. But as long as they can keep the likes of Ødegaard and Saka and Saliba especially, they've missed him. That's something else I was going to mention before.
Saliba.
He's been injured recently, and there's been every time Arsenal play, and he's always up in the stands, and there's always stats. It's like games with Saliba, 28 wins, like however many, and it's like clean sheets about twice as many as when William Saliba is not in the team.
I always wonder what happened to Kieran Tierney. He was like a really promising prospect for Arsenal, and now
I think he's just a rotational player.
Yeah, he is at the minute.
He's been quite injury prone though, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He is good. He's a good traditional left back, but you know the likes of it's Zinchenko who starts most games now for Arsenal, and he's not
good signing, really.
He's not much of a left back at all. He's a converted midfielder, but he does a job.
Similar sort of story to Trent, I feel, where defensively he doesn't offer you a great deal, but offensively he's one of the front
Zinchenko wasn't a midfield, wasn't a defender by trade though. Not till he turned up at Man City when they were playing like Delph at left back.
Well, Trent wasn't a traditional defender by choice. He just found himself there when he got handed an opportunity from Jurgen Klopp, and then ever since he stuck there. But all throughout the Liverpool academy, he was playing on the wing, and you can see why. You can see that he's got that ability about his game to transition quickly from defence to attack, and he's got that innate ability to find people in the penalty area, and he's been fantastic in recent weeks. I know he gets a lot of slander.
He has actually, because he had a really poor start to the season, as did Liverpool in general. But he's done very well.
He's been part of the resurgence.
Well, what do you think of Liverpool at the moment?
I think
as our next topic.
Personally, I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah.
In terms of, had this have happened at the start of the season, where could we have been?
Yeah.
Looking at the long term, looking at the bigger picture, you know, I think we've massively been missing in the front line for the first half of the season, where there wasn't sort of a contingency of a front three. There wasn't a solid front three. There was a lot of trial and error between the front three. There was an over-reliance on Darwin Núñez to do well, and over-reliance on to find his primary position across this Liverpool front line. But I think now that the stress and the emphasis has been brought off his shoulders, we're now starting to see the best version of Darwin Núñez. We've seen him trialled on the left wing, and I personally think that's his best position. But if you look at his compatriots and his competition on the left wing with Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, you know, you think he's not really got a chance. But in recent weeks, he's almost taken that confidence that he's developed from the left-hand side and taken it into the front line and taken it amongst himself to find himself on the score sheet and been the problem player to win the necessary headers, to bring others into fruition. So I think I've been really impressed with what I've seen recently. Maybe it's probably a little bit too late to be in the top 4 race.
Definitely European.
But I think we'll definitely get European football. I think if we can finish 5th, given the context of everything that went on earlier in the season in terms of how bad's this going to be, then I think Jurgen Klopp will be quite happy, and he'll take that forward into the board, saying, "Look, you've seen the problems firsthand. The midfield's been the problem for large periods of this season, but we've also seen on the flip side of that some promising signs in the midfield. You think of the likes of
Curtis Jones.
I was going to mention him for a second.
Your favourite player in the world.
Harvey Elliott, I think he's been good in patches.
It's not Elliott season.
Fabio Carvalho, I've seen reports that he's on his way out, which quite puzzled about.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
think
he
he's
hasn't signed him for long.
He
ago.
signed in
12 months.
Signed in the summer, didn't he?
Yeah, so I think a loan move might help him to catapult him into this Liverpool side in the long haul.
Yeah.
But then coming on to the player that you've just mentioned, Curtis Jones. I think I mentioned it in the previous.
I think you
podcast.
mentioned it in the last three podcasts that you just hate him.
It, mate.
But to be honest,
Yeah, you're gonna have to.
I'm gonna have to hold my hands. I'm gonna have to hold my hands up here and say, sorry, Curtis.
He'll be watching this.
Yeah, but no, I think he actually has been really, really good. I think he's been that much needed energy.
Yeah.
In a depleted Liverpool midfield and an Asian midfield that's just been chopping and changing constantly, and it doesn't seem that there's a regular starter in that midfield. But Curtis Jones, last few games, I can't slander him. A goal, been prone to get a few assists in there as well. So I think he was the difference really against Spurs, which I'm sure we'll touch on shortly. I think he was fantastic.
Just before we do, because we were talking about the title race, we give a lot of talk to Arsenal. We kind of have to talk about Man City. And
they don't need to deserve their airtime.
that Terminator they've got up front, who
Don't
broke
know
the
that.
record, hasn't he, for most goals in a 38 game league season.
Not surprising, really.
34 he's currently on, and if he gets one more, he breaks the all-time Premier League record, which was set by Shearer and Cole.
Yeah,
I want to say are the two names that
was one of the quiz questions. That was.
Oh well.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
I'm gonna have to get a new quiz up now.
Well done.
Alan Shearer and Andy Cole both scored 34 in a time when the Premier League consisted of 42 games because there were 22 teams in the league. And they managed 34 at their peaks, and Haaland has 34 now in a 38 game league season, and he's not going to stop.
No.
There's still City still have 6 games left, I think.
How long is he on a contract at City?
It's 5 years.
It'll be a long one, yeah, exactly. He's going to be there for. I honestly don't know who can tempt him away, because if City win the Champions League, what possible thing could you use to lure Haaland away? If City don't win the Champions League and Real come calling, that is their trump card.
Yeah.
We can win the Champions League. You can win it. If City win it, they win the league. They win a lot of domestic cup competitions. They might win the FA Cup, which we'll come to in a sec. If they win the Champions League, Haaland's not going to go anywhere and get more money than Man City. And his dad used to play for them. He was raised wearing Man City kits. What could possibly lure him away from City if they win the Champions League? I honestly don't know. So for that reason, and because I like the Premier League to be a bit more exciting than just City win it every season, I don't really want them to win the Champions League.
No, I don't either. To be honest,
but and that's part of because it's the meme that keeps repeating itself. It's like when PSG get knocked out. It's the one thing they really want and they've never had. But it's they're the final boss of the Premier League, and they win a lot. Obviously, they're the final boss of the Premier League, and imagine getting a series of games where in the first 5 games the final boss wins. Are you really going to want to buy the 6th game?
Yeah,
Because if you just lose in the end.
Yeah,
I think in general, I think for City, obviously, I think this season they've been great, and it's a lot of it is down to Haaland, but a lot of it is also down to the other players in the team. I think
you can't look past De
can't
Bruyne
look
this
past De
season.
Bruyne.
Grealish has had a quietly really good season.
Really
as well.
Grealish has had a brilliant season, especially compared to last season. He's not lived up to the price tag, because the price tag is ridiculous still, 100 million, but he's done better. Absolutely, he's improved. De Bruyne both games against
Nathan Ake as well. What
Nathan
season
Ake,
he's having?
yeah.
It's a weird one with the defence as well, because he's got this new system, hasn't he, Pep, where he throws one centre half alongside Rodri in a 2DM system, but then when they lose the ball, which is rare, the defender will retreat back into the back four. And he's got 4 centre halves across the back line as well, because Akanji goes out on the right and Ake goes out. Ake is injured at the moment, but Ake goes out on the left. And obviously Cancelo's left, but Walker's been in when Ake's been injured recently. But he's got no fullbacks in the back four, and one that just rotates between DM and.
It's a good idea. Really.
The thing is, imagine not even 5 years ago. Imagine 2 years ago if you suggested this to literally any other manager. If you suggested it to Klopp, he'd laugh at you, and if you suggested it to somebody like Steve Bruce, he'd kill you probably. He'd probably kill and eat you. But when it comes to Pep, he just, I don't know where the heck he gets these ideas from.
He's a creative guy. That's all we can say. I feel like he just looks at a drawing board and he just thinks, right, what would work best?
What if I
that,
did
and that.
this? Yeah,
Do
exactly.
you remember when Sheffield United, when they first came up to the Premier League, when they came back to the Premier League, when they were doing overlapping centre halves,
they were, weren't
and
they?
it just worked magic, didn't it?
It just works.
The thing is, it worked for a season, and
then they tried to replicate,
and then, but once it was like when Leicester won the league, their very route one over the top long ball to the fast forward football caught teams out because they weren't expecting it, and then the season after, teams had an answer because they'd been able to do their research.
But I think that's what makes Guardiola such a good manager, is the fact that he's constantly changing his system so that no one can predict what he's going to do next. And I mean, it works. It's worked this season. It's worked in other seasons. So I mean,
exactly.
Fair play.
Like,
to
what
him,
is the counter
really.
to his system? What is the counter to the way his defense works? Like,
probably high press, I think.
Yeah, you're gonna have to press.
You're gonna have to press from the front.
Yeah,
pressure
but
on the
thing is
defence.
though, with Man City, their defenders alongside their midfielders are so good at their passing.
And
They've
they're
got
quick as well.
Such good vision. They're all quick. They're all smart, very smart footballers. Like John Stones is a play it out from the back kind of centre half.
He's another player.
he's
He's had a great
season.
he's had a great season. The likes of Akanji and Ake have pace to burn. Stones is very play it out from the back. Good vision, knows how to go forward, knows how to pick a pass. Rodri, who he essentially drifts next to, who stays in that DM role, is an incredible passer of the ball. He can spray it.
He's got a shot on him as well.
He can spray it 60 yards if he needs to. And Diaz is the commanding presence, and Laporte when he's not injured, and everything. Like it all just works so well. And the fact that he's seen it and been able to implement this system that works so well for them, it's reverable. Like he's, he is the
That's
best.
word of the day.
There you go.
Reverable.
There you go. And
Don't ask me
he's
to spell it.
R-E. No, I'm not going to. And
Petty.
he is the best managerial mind in the Premier League since Fergie. And no, it's not Klopp.
No,
It is Pep.
I don't think that Klopp's. I think Klopp's probably the closest to Guardiola in the present day at the minute, in terms of longevity and success. But I think they're two polar opposite managers.
Klopp is very much
Passion.
He's very passionate. He is
He's
very
very
passionate.
he's
but-
very German, isn't he?
Yeah,
He
but I think-
exudes with confidence and joy.
I think his issue is a lot of the time he is very naive as well. He loves to stick with the system that he thinks will work, and he won't change it. Like he's never. I've always said when Liverpool signed Firmino, when he didn't really work out much at striker, they should have put him in they should have had a central attacking midfielder. Never did it.
Well, that's what he
Always
was when
went
they
for
first brought him in.
Well, yeah, that's what he was, but he got put up at striker. But it's always been three midfielders, one holding back, two box to box. It's always been that. It's never changed.
Yeah, that's
Then
very true.
if it's not broken, why fix it?
Well, it was broken for a while because
for a
Firmino.
while.
But
How
then
long
he's-
didn't Firmino go a season without scoring at Anfield? If you're the
No,
number
it can't have been
9
that
for
long.
Liverpool, you've got because there were seasons where I think he only got 4 in a season. If you're the number 9 for Liverpool and you play week in week out and you don't score at least once every 3 games, come on. The standards are so high at Liverpool.
but then you look at-
you can't have a poor goals return as a number
But then
9.
you look at what he does off the ball.
Yeah, off the
You
ball,
know, I think
yes.
we're
Assist wise,
and that's fine. And that's why this is what you said. Play him in cam.
yeah, playing as a
Play
central
him in
attacking
midfield,
midfielder.
because what he does off the ball is more important there. If you're a striker, what you do off the ball is run to the box and be available and score when the ball comes to you. That is your job. That's his job. That sound like Roy Keane again.
That's his job.
That's his job.
I don't know. I think
I think with your system, you
difficult,
don't
though.
really play with a striker, do you? You really rely on the wingers to score, and
Play
that's
3 wingers up front. That's
Yeah,
fine.
well,
true.
exactly. You
Salah, Nunez,
the
Gakpo, Jota,
reliance
Diaz.
is
They're all
heavily-
wingers. Yeah.
Heavily on the wingers to really provide, which is why obviously when Firmino wasn't scoring, Salah and Mane were scoring.
They were. Yeah.
True.
Well, we were going to come on to Tottenham, weren't we? Do we want to?
I'm going to go on my phone for this section.
Look at the despair.
No, I love my club, I really do, and Tottenham obviously hold a very close place to my heart. But it's been so difficult to watch the football recently. I mean, obviously we had Conte, really liked Conte, but unfortunately just wasn't gelling with the squad. So we got rid of him for his assistant, and then he didn't really do as well.
And then you
so
ship 5 at home to away at Newcastle.
Yeah,
in the
and
first
then-
20 minutes.
Which you were going to go to.
which I was going to go to, which my car broke down.
Blessing in
I'll tell you what.
That's a
just-
sign.
God looked down on you and went, you know what, he doesn't deserve that.
That is a sign. And then we sack the assistant for his assistant, which makes all the sense in the world. But in fairness to Ryan Mason, I mean, he's a respected coach from all the players. The players know him quite well. Well, the players who were still there when he was there. And I mean, for me, he's got obviously deep roots in the squad. He's got deep roots in the club, so he's passionate. I would love to see him long term take on the role at the club, but I just don't think he's ready. No, I don't think he's ready.
No, he isn't ready.
He's not ready at all.
He could very much do a managerial job, though. I think you're
He
right
could.
with that,
I
because
think
like
he could.
he's been involved at Tottenham. It works at Tottenham because, as you said, he knows the club so well. He's played with a lot of the players that are still there, Son and Kane and Lloris. These players that have been there for a long time, Dyer, that have been at Tottenham for ages, that Ryan Mason would have played alongside, and he's been involved in the backroom staff since his unfortunate early retirement. So he's somebody that knows all these players very well, has taken the temporary reins before, after Mourinho got the heave. Did not do too badly, and it's just, but yeah, if he's to sort of take on a permanent role, it won't be in the Premier League.
No.
To be fair, he might be like it might be the next Michael Carrick. He might go and test the waters in the Championship, utilise the links that he's got with Tottenham, bring in a few loan players, experiment
It'd be a great
few
idea.
ideas, and then maybe we might even see Middlesbrough in the Premier League next season, so might be able to test it first hand in the Premier League.
But no, I do like Ryan Mason, and obviously we're going to stick with him until the end of the season.
Who comes in though?
But that is the issue that I have at the
Nagelsmann
moment.
he's still available.
Julian Nagelsmann is still available. I know Poch isn't confirmed with Chelsea yet, but I think that's pretty much near enough sorted.
Do you think he's closed that chapter now of his life?
I feel like Poch
we'll get to Chelsea.
I feel like Poch just doesn't want to come back. I don't blame him, to be honest, because at the end of the day, you don't want to come back and get sacked again by a club who's just, because at the moment the club is just a mess. I think it needs a new face, someone to just take complete and utter control. It needs a manager who's really gonna be forefront with the players and just tell them, look, you're not working, you're out. Luke.
I'll tell you what, there is a manager like that currently available. He's called Antonio Conte.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho.
How it didn't work out with Conte, I have no idea.
It's a sort of a bad personal time.
Might have been
the fact that Conte hasn't immediately gone for another job. I think Conte needs a few minutes, because this is what we've discussed on previous podcasts. He's sort of had a bit of a
he's had a really
months,
rough time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't really blame him for making the decision he made. I think as of next managers available at the moment, I don't really know who's available. The only one I can think of is Brendan Rodgers. Well, I don't really think I want.
There's Nagelsmann, there's Rodgers. There was another name we floated as well.
There was Big Sam until
Big
today.
Sam.
God,
missed out on a treat with Big Sam.
Oh, that's a real shame. Yeah. Well, before we talk about that appointment, we'll mention Chelsea, of course. They're looking at. See, there you go.
This makes me feel better.
Smiles back on his face.
Right.
Actually, before we do, let's talk about the fact that you are a Tottenham fan. We don't have the Tottenham shirt on display today. What we do have is my beloved Preston North End. And, Matthew, take it away.
This is the Family FC shirt. I work for Family FC. Of course, I've told this on every podcast, but they've been sponsoring our podcast since pretty much the start, and they really like the series we do. So it's always nice to give them a shout out and shout out to their social media pages, which is at Team Family FC, and their website, which is www.familyfc.com, where you can buy their programs. They're amazing, really fun, and very family friendly. So check them out.
There you go. So Chelsea then. It is funny, to be fair, because I just said Chelsea and you started smiling and giggling, and
like a kid in a candy shop, isn't he?
Look, we watched them last night. They played against Arsenal. They got absolutely bullied in the first half, and that is 5 games that Frank Lampard has managed now since his temporary appointment after the departure of Graham Potter. He has lost 5 games.
But yeah.
Are Chelsea going to get relegated?
No, there's no chance.
But it would be hilarious, wouldn't it?
It would be
if
funny.
they persist, because they've got 6 games left, and I think they're 10 points ahead of the drop zone. So imagine if Lampard, he won't, surely, But imagine if he was to stick around to the end of the season, like the temp appointment has sort of like it was initially thought, and he just loses every single game, and other teams just get the wins necessary to push them further down the table. I'm not saying they're going to get relegated, but they might finish closer to the drop zone than 10th if they carry on the way they're playing, which is awful. Like. But also really funny because none of us are Chelsea fans. We can laugh at it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
they look so lost. And this is what we were saying last night. They're a team of good players with no cohesion whatsoever. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that they all just got roped in January.
Yeah.
Like, who was their best player last night? It was that Madueke, wasn't it?
Madueke, yeah.
Noni Madueke.
He looked really good.
And he's like a converted winger into a wing back into
it's like
Lampard's
an inverted
system.
Winger, isn't it?
Yeah, in Lampard's system, he plays as like a wing back / winger. And he's, and he's young and he's promising and he's English as well. Actually, I don't know if he's
thought from the name.
I don't think he's declared for any international team yet, but I'm pretty sure he is English. I might be wrong, but
FIFA card is.
Yes, there you go. Well, there it's gospel. So yeah, but he's not going to get the regular game time probably, at least not in his preferred position, and certainly not in his preferred system. And the players they have brought in that cost so much money that they have to play: Enzo Fernandez, Mikhailo Mudryk, Badiashile. I forgot I did.
Wesley Fofana.
Fofana. I forgot about Badiashile. I forgot he even signed in January until I did the commentary for Chelsea Liverpool. Oh my God, that was a dull game. The 0-0 in the league a few weeks ago. It was Graham Potter was still gaffer.
That was when Kai Havertz had a goal ruled out.
It was 0-0. I think he did. Yeah. Actually, there might have been 2 ruled out, but it was still a boring game. It was 0-0, and I got asked to decide man of the match for the commentary I do for it, and I literally went who. I have absolutely no idea who to choose. It was a dull game, but there's players in that team who have come in and. We don't know why, and all it does is sort of disrupt any harmony that already existed in the group. And what happens in the summer, because they're going to have more players than they know what to do with, and that are going to be more than the Premier League allow. Romelu Lukaku is a contracted Chelsea player. He will be back in the summer.
Which is crazy to believe, really.
It is, yeah, but what are they going to do with him? Because are they going to sell him? Where can afford him that actually wants him? Inter want him. They probably can't afford him because they've got their own financial troubles. That's why they're not already looking to buy him now.
Yeah.
For the end of the season.
Yeah, because they've got troubles with the stadium, because changing stadium, aren't they? San Siro.
Yeah. Of course, the San Siro's being knocked down, isn't it? Forgot about that. Well, yeah, exactly. So things like that, they've got their own troubles to focus on. And teams that are gonna want Lukaku.
PSG maybe.
They're the answer to everything. Aren't they?
PSG.
Well, if they lose
probably.
Messi, then maybe. Yeah. But then again, I don't think High Lord Kylian Mbappe will want Lukaku next to him. To be totally honest,
I think with Chelsea, it's the problem that we've discussed in earlier podcasts. They've bought Todd Bowley's come in, who knows absolutely nothing about football.
He's not a football guy. He's a businessman.
Yeah, and he's just gone. I want him. He's looked good. Bring them in the club. And that's it. There's not been no cohesion to get the players that are needed essentially for the squad. It's just, I want the big names. He was probably, like you said, shouting at Graham Potter because he didn't get Ronaldo.
Yeah, well, apparently that's why he fell out with Thomas Tuchel before because Potter came in after the summer transfer window. They were Tuchel's signings that were in the summer. So Sterling was a Tuchel signing, for instance. But apparently, so the story goes, is that Bowley wanted Ronaldo, who was wanting to leave Man United, and Potter didn't because Potter knows football and knows that paying however many £1 million every month
for a big named player with a big influence
for a 37 at the time he would have been, paying however many £1 million a month for a 37-year-old who was just going to kick up tantrums in the dressing room like he did at Man United. Was a bad idea, and for that, well, not apparently just for that, but that was part of the reason apparently that he fell out with Todd Bowley, ended up getting fired. And it seemed like this is a conversation I was having with a few of our mates as well in the January, and in the summer, and certainly in the January, Chelsea's transfer strategy has changed because under Roman Abramovich, it was never on Monday Chelsea are interested in signing Kalidou Koulibaly. on Wednesday, Chelsea confirmed signing of Kalidou Koulibaly. It never happened that quickly. There was always a bit of a build, a bit of a chase, but now it's just Todd Bowley going, here is money, we take player, done. Like and it's flattened out in 2 days.
It's not even like he probably doesn't even negotiate the price.
Exactly, and it's rushed and it's not worked because all these players have been, we'll add Sterling to the team, we'll add Koulibaly to the team, we'll add Wesley Fofana to the team, and then in January it's Mudryk and then Fernandes and then Badiashile and João Felix, Fofana, everybody else that's come in, and it's just too many cooks in that.
What do you think, Jacob?
Same.
Thanks for that. Cheers, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
No, I agree. I think it's too many superstars, too many good players, but not too many good team players.
It's just not being thought out, has it, really?
And certainly not a good manager.
Yeah, it's just it's dull times, but it's dull times when it's meant to be the most promising times to be a Chelsea fan.
It is, yeah.
Which just feels bizarre to say.
Yeah.
I think with them as well, I think one thing with Chelsea is when it does come to the summer, they really need to sort out what they're doing with the squad because they've still got players, like they've still got Ziyech at the squad who doesn't really get much.
He was trying to force a move out, wasn't he?
He was trying to force a move out.
PSG.
I think
But
he was after leaving in the January.
Can you blame him?
No,
someone comes in, brings all these players in, and then you're left in the rut.
Imagine wanting to leave your toxic dressing room because you want to go to PSG.
Yeah.
Imagine how bad that dressing room must be.
That's what it must be like.
Yeah, but well, if Chelsea do get dragged into a relegation zone, they're going to have to contend with Big Sam, aren't they?
That'll be fantastic.
So that's some funny news from literally this morning, and this was a bit of a quick appointment as well. Leeds are in relegation trouble. They sacked Jesse Marsh. That's who they started the season with, and they brought in Javi Gracia, and now they've sacked Javi Gracia, and they've brought in Big Sam.
We love that.
It's the return.
When I saw it, I was
king.
Like, get him.
It's back. Just it's funny, but the thing, like, he's a manager that has literally been revered as somebody who knows how to escape the drop. Yeah. He's only ever had one relegation on his CV, and that was with
Sunderland, wasn't it?
No, West Brom.
He
kept Sunderland up. Sunderland went down under Moyes. He went down with West Brom, and that was only about whenever West Brom last got relegated 2-3 seasons ago.
2 seasons ago, I think.
I'm not sure. Whenever West Brom went down, that's his only relegation in his long managerial career, his long Premier League managerial career as well. And you look at the teams that he's worked with as well.
West Ham,
the relegation threatened teams
Newcastle.
A lot of the time. Like he's managed Newcastle, he's managed West Ham, he's managed Bolton, he's managed Blackburn, he's managed obviously West Brom with the team he went down with. Sunderland, he kept them alive. Yeah. He kept them alive on sheer force of shouting alone for about 2 seasons. And all right, West Brom was a bit too much of a mountain to climb, but at Leeds, I think he could do it.
Yeah,
I think he could do it on not necessarily on account of the fact that Leeds have got the best team, or that Big Sam. I mean, I think Big Sam does have the capabilities to avoid the drop, but he'll do it on account of the fact that there's a lot of other teams still in with a chance of being relegated. The likes of so behind Leeds at the moment you have Everton and Everton and Southampton. Just above them by like a point or goal difference, you have Leicester and Forest and Wolves. I think are still sort of in the mix. Maybe even West Ham to a stretch. Like there's teams that Chelsea. There's these teams that can still be dragged into the table. Are you going to get the table up?
Not Forest in the drop.
Yeah, they're just. I think they're outside on goal difference.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think they're in on goal difference, and Leeds are just outside on goal difference.
Yeah,
because Forest is worse than Leeds.
So this is the bottom 10 going in descending order. So Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Bournemouth, Wolves, West Ham, Leicester, Leeds, Notts Forest, Everton, Southampton.
Yeah, so and none of those teams are confirmed relegated by any stretch.
No.
And
pretty much.
What are Southampton? They're only
Southampton.
They're 5 points off.
5 points off.
Yeah, so that's not awful.
Have they got any games in hand?
They've only got 4 games to play.
It's still not unrecoverable. That's 5 points from a maximum of 12 that they can pick up. So it's
12.
4 games left. 3, 6, 9, 12.
Oh, so I thought you meant 12 games. I was thinking.
All right.
I'm thinking.
So it's 4.
It's not the Northern Prem.
They might not need. They'll need more than 5 points if they want to stay up. But nothing is confirmed. So it's still up in the air as to who will go down. And this appointment, I think, means that Leeds probably won't. I don't think they'll survive by a lot. I don't expect them to finish 13th. I think they probably will. I reckon 17th. But I think they do it just.
I think with the quality that Leeds have got, if you look at the West Brom side that Sam Allardyce had and the one he went down with, there wasn't really a lot of quality in that squad. But I think with the Leeds squad, there's a bit more quality.
I don't think I could tell you a single player from that West Brom team that got relegated.
Kieran Gibbs.
I don't. He would have been in there probably. Yeah, he might not have even been there, to be honest. Who?
Dean Garner.
Grady Dean Garner.
Was CR7 there? Callum Robertson.
He might have been.
Because that was the season that they beat Chelsea, didn't
5-1,
they? 5-1, yeah.
Oh God, I remember that.
In that horrific
Kyle
yellow and green.
Did Kyle Bartley get a brace in that game?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
that is a proper pub quiz question. That.
Brilliant.
But again though, that West Brom team, all right, yeah, they battered Chelsea 5-1, but I think us three could find eight other blokes at the minute, and we could beat Chelsea 5-1.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, that West Brom team, I couldn't put together a starting 11 from it. Whereas this Leeds team, they have players that are good and are probably in talks for international matches. I don't think Rodrigo's too far away from the international team.
No, I think he's quite a good player.
No, exactly.
That Italian that they have, is it the right winger?
Nonto, he looks really good. He's young.
Looks brilliant.
Luis Sinisterra is quite good as well.
He's good.
Crescencio Somerville's got very quick, very good on the ball. Weston McKennie, who you mentioned. Mark Rocker as well, who's alongside him in DM.
Have they still got Meslier in goal?
Meslier still in goal. I'm not convinced on Meslier. I think he's fine. He's not great.
Do you remember when Michael Owen supposedly watched him at the Leeds Academy when he was a kid?
Yeah.
No way.
You've not seen that?
No, I've not seen it.
I'll have to show you that video. It's brilliant.
That is class.
But just a point that I wanted to touch on. You've probably seen it as you've loitered across. Big next game for both Forest and for Southampton. They both face up against each other.
They play each other. I didn't actually know that.
So the gap could go to 9 if Forest are victorious.
Forest at the moment, I feel for them, to be honest, because they've made all them signings and they
started well.
Like such a promising team at the start.
They didn't start well. They started badly. They had a January mid-season resurgence. They were about 12th at one point. They looked like they were going to be nowhere near. It's just been a bad run recently, and it's just dragged them right back into it.
I just feel bad for them because I think they looked like a good team, and the way they played they played quite well. It's a shame that they're going to go back down. Really.
Do you think they will?
I feel Leeds will survive. Obviously
with Big Sam.
Yeah. How many points are Leicester over? Because Leicester aren't far.
Leicester are above by goal difference.
Yeah, it's goal difference.
So it's still close, but yeah, I think Forest, Everton, and Southampton.
You reckon the current bottom 3 goes down?
Yeah, I reckon so.
I mean, look, I'm a fan of a championship team. I kind of like to have Everton come down, and also for that reason, I'd kind of like to have Leicester come down. Yeah. Because they were Premier League champions 7 years ago. To be able to go for an away day at the King Power Stadium, that would be pretty cool. Given the fact that the Premier League trophy was lifted there in 2016. And again, with Everton, they're a club with so much history and so much reverence and so much of a presence in the top flight. For them to be in the Championship and for me to be able to go on an away day to a ground that might host a Euro 2028 game.
Yeah.
Like if Everton don't go down, there's no way any other team that might host there's no way St James's Park is going to be a championship ground anytime soon unless Newcastle really do some dodgy financial fair play stuff.
Stamford Bridge.
yeah, it's. I mean, well, you never know at this point. If I could choose my ideal bottom 3, it would out of the people that could still mathematically be relegated, I'd probably choose Everton and Chelsea and a third team who I'm not really.
Well, I'm looking at your phone there, Jacob, and one team I am seeing is West Ham, and I think they've had just such a weird
I think
season.
they've been sidetracked by European football, though.
Yeah, but they're still in it. They're
still in.
That's what I mean.
Semi-finals, right?
I think there's been more emphasis on the European football.
I just think they've had a really sort of. It's just not been a good season.
Ragged.
I think last season was really good for West Ham.
It was incredible. They finished 7th. They got European football.
That's what I mean. It was building blocks for this season. I feel that there was more emphasis now on the European football, and that's sort of.
Yeah, but the thing is though, because if you're West Ham, you're coming into this season not expecting European football again. You're not expecting to finish in the top 7. That's you can't come into the season saying we're definitely going to be in the top 7 in the Premier League as a West Ham fan. So would you rather have a bit of a middling season in the Premier League where ultimately their fate is in their own hands? They are clear of the drop by how many points?
4,
So-
and they've also got a game in hand as well.
So
which is against
ultimately-
Man City tonight.
Oh well, so
Yeah,
that's a
so-
defeat. So they've not got a game in hand basically. But if their fate is still in their own hands in the Premier League, they probably won't get relegated. They've not been in the drop zone all season.
No.
Not that I remember anyway. And they're in the semi-finals of a European competition that, if they win, they will be playing in the Europa League next season. Absolutely focus on Europe. If you're West Ham,
definitely.
focus on Europe. Like, I understand Arsenal maybe not focusing on Europe, but that's because they've been in the title race all season.
True.
If you're West Ham, absolutely put all your eggs in that basket. Why not? What have you got to lose?
Well, I
They're
think-
probably not going to lose their Premier League status.
I think talking of relegation, and I think Jay's going to be happy to talk about this. Championship final day coming soon.
Yes, it is. Championship final day is this weekend. And it's bittersweet because as we around this table are aware, because I have repeated it many, many times over the last week or so.
It's my new alarm.
Blackpool did get relegated from the Championship, so, insert crying noise here. It's a real shame, gif of Jeremy Clarkson. Oh no, anyway. But unfortunately, Preston's late surge for the playoffs was shut down by Sheffield United at the weekend. We can't mathematically make it anymore. But it's fine because Blackburn won't make it either. Because they've got Millwall on the final day, and if they do anything but win, they're not going to make the top 6.
And where are Millwall at the moment?
In the top 6.
In the
So
top 6,
Millwall
yeah.
are going to fight tooth and nail, and the last team I would want to fight tooth and nail against is Millwall.
Could you imagine them
So
in the Prem?
who have we got in the playoffs then?
Currently in the playoff scene, so obviously Burnley are champions, Sheffield United are automatically promoted. Them two will be playing Premier League football next season. In the playoffs are currently Middlesbrough, Luton, Millwall, and I want to say Coventry are the top, are the four playoff places. Blackburn are still mathematically able to make it, but they have Millwall on the final day. I think West Brom can still make it, and I think they have Swansea on the final day who can't make it.
Yeah.
And finally, I think there's one more team in with a shout. Am I right? Because you're looking at the table. There's one more team in with a shout, and it is Sunderland. And they play us. So, look, if Sunderland win and go into the playoffs at the expense of Blackburn, I'm not going to really bother that much because we can't mathematically make it.
Yeah.
So the North End players will probably have their flip flops on for that one. But
God, imagine if we have a Newcastle Sunderland derby in the Prem.
we might exactly.
Imagine
But-
Millwall in the Prem. Oh,
Oh,
my lord.
no.
See, that's it. Millwall are still technically in the playoff places now. So if Millwall just win against Blackburn, they will make the playoffs, and they might imagine the games you get next season.
Tottenham Millwall.
Tottenham
Bloody
Millwall.
hell.
That's like, imagine how much police you'd need, and then Millwall West Ham. That's
Yeah,
the
behind
worst.
closed
That's the
doors.
worst.
That's
one,
the
yeah.
worst. Millwall West Ham's the worst. Millwall Tottenham's up there. But how many other London teams have you got in the Premier League?
Millwall.
Arsenal.
Millwall just hate everyone.
So imagine.
Fulham,
So if you're
Arsenal,
Millwall, who have you got next
Brentford.
season? You'll have Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, West Ham, Brentford,
Fulham.
Exactly.
It's almost
So
half.
that's
almost half.
almost half the Premier League would be from
Palace?
from London.
Palace as well.
Palace, of course, and that almost half the Premier League will be from London, and one of those teams could be Millwall. So,
Oh God.
I mean, it's to be fair though. Actually, let's say Millwall and Luton make the playoffs. That's two teams that have never played Premier League football.
That would be pretty exciting.
That would be pretty
That'd
interesting.
equally be as enjoyable.
But
going to
imagine-
Luton
Premier
on a
League
cold
day at
night.
Luton.
But imagine,
City at Luton.
imagine a Premier League, a Championship playoff final at Wembley. Millwall versus Luton.
Ooh.
That just sounds
That screams
so
excitement.
dodgy, doesn't it? It sounds like a proper career mode, like FIFA career mode outcome. That, but it actually might happen. Which
Who
is
would you want to prevail in the playoffs then?
out of? Are you saying out of the current four or out of
Out of the
everybody
current
that's
four.
left?
I think Middlesbrough are probably going to do a similar sort of
See,
story
I
to
don't
Forest.
want to say Luton is funny because their ground is surrounded by terraced houses, and I love the idea of De Bruyne and Van
Haaland.
Dijk and Haaland.
Yeah, can I park my
And-
car here, love?
Yeah, literally, parking on double yellow lines next to 77-year-old Joyce, who's like, "Have you got a permit for that?" That's
Who these parking on my
yeah,
street?
yeah, parking in front of my house.
Sounds
Who do
like
they think
mine
that-
a few
Who do they
years.
think they are? Who do they think they are? Millionaires? That's hilarious. But they're just a bit boring, Luton. They're not exciting, are they?
Did they get to the playoff finals last year?
They got to the
they did,
playoffs.
yeah.
They got to the playoffs. They got beat by. I don't remember what the final was last year. Who went up last year? Forest beat Huddersfield.
Did Fulham beat them?
No, Fulham won the league last season.
Forest
won the playoffs and they beat
Brentford.
No, Brentford were in the final. Was it
yeah.
Huddersfield? I'm sure it's Huddersfield. You know.
No,
I'm sure it was.
can't have been.
Anyway,
Oh.
they so I'd probably choose Middlesbrough. I think
Yeah.
they play the best football out of every team that's currently left in the race for the playoffs, and I like Michael Carrick as a manager as well. Before we appointed Ryan Lowe, he was floated as a potential Preston manager, and I would have been optimistic for that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of us getting in an ex-player. So, you know, if Michael Carrick takes Middlesbrough up, especially, and it's a repeat of Nottingham Forest last season. You know, they were in the relegation zone, sacked their manager early on, hired somebody new who would do something better with them, and have risen to the playoffs. And if they win it, then they've literally done a rinse repeat of what Nottingham Forest did last season, which is nice.
Yeah.
I did say that
You did, yeah.
What about?
Middlesbrough doing exactly what Forest have
Yeah,
done this year.
literally. There you go. Exactly. So that I think that'd be quite nice. And you know, just as long as it's not Blackburn.
We'll wait and see if history prevails this week on the quiz then.
Well, I think before we head to the quiz, just
Ooh.
one more thing.
Here we
The Hall of Fame.
The Hall of Fame, yes. So this is something we discussed in the last episode of the podcast. We discussed who we thought should have gone in alongside Ferguson and Wenger, which had been announced. They were the first two managers to go into the Hall. And literally this morning, the other three places have been announced.
Nice.
There we go. And nice budget right there.
Yep.
And the three names are... No, it's fine. You've done it once. Petr Cech, Tony Adams, and... I've forgotten the third. Rio Ferdinand.
Rio Ferdinand.
Yeah, so three worthy entrants to the Premier League Hall of Fame. I'm very surprised John Terry hasn't gone in.
Yeah.
That's shocked me.
Maybe
And-
his antics off the pitch maybe have hindered him in this instance.
Yeah, but the thing is, you could say that about a few players that should be in the Hall of Fame. Like, this is what I mentioned last time we did an episode, like with Giggs. He should be in there, but he isn't because of his sort of off-field
Antics.
problems.
Yeah.
Antics is a bit of a bad way to describe alleged domestic abuse. We'll call it problems.
Yeah.
But with, you know, stuff like that, I don't think, you know, because Terry's never been convicted of. He was accused of racism. It never went to court though, as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong on that actually, but as far as
That was the Anton Ferdinand.
yes, as far as I remember, it didn't go to. Actually, no, I think he was found innocent. So I think it was actually in court that.
Because it was civil court, I think. Wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think
Rather than
but I
crown
don't
court.
think it was dead legal. But anyway, you know, and you know, the things like you deserve that because your phone's been vibrating all day, and I
It's 'cause
can
of it.
feel it.
It's because I've just been paid.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Actually,
So you're buying lunch then, Jacob?
All right,
That's
well
right.
then. Right, chopsticks on you.
Yeah, chopsticks on you, mate.
No, we're not going chopsticks,
Yang
are we?
Tozy. We're in Yang Tozy.
Anyway,
Back to the
yeah,
football.
I was back to the football waffle. I was talking about John Terry, and yeah, I think he does earn it because I don't think his off-field antics are enough to.
Oh, don't imitate me.
I don't think you know the sort of speculations about him off the field are enough to really
his removal.
warrant a problem, like a
Yeah.
proper problem. It might be, but remember, it is a fan vote.
Well,
John Terry,
exactly,
apart
so-
from with Chelsea fans, I don't think he's a very popular
No,
bloke.
he's not a very popular bloke.
Not-
So
Many
that might be
people's
it,
lives.
because it is a fan vote.
'Cause, I
The
mean,
Premier
if you
League
look-
give you the nominees.
If you look at the three, really, I mean, no one can really say anything about Petr Cech. He's a class keeper.
I think
Most
he's
clean
got
sheets
most
in
clean,
the
the most clean sheets in Premier League history.
So-
He did it for so long. He was always very good. He won 4 Premier League titles. Absolutely deserved.
I can
it.
see
He
why
was
he's
he was
Two
one of my
FA Cups as well with
he
Arsenal.
was one of my but it's only Premier League, this isn't it? No FA
Yeah.
Cups. Otherwise, you could say he's won the Champions League, but
Rio
Don't
Ferdinand
matter.
again, can see why he's got it.
absolutely no
Very
arguments
popular
there.
player.
He's won what?
Longevity and
How,
success.
how many league titles did
Look
he?
at- look at-
I reckon he won 7 league titles. Or
8, I
something.
think.
I
Stupid
think
amount.
easily the best team he played for was QPR. You know.
Yeah,
He's-
you know, he's great for them.
I thought that was Anton, or did they both?
No, they
They-
both
they-
did.
they
Yeah,
both
when Rio left Man United, he went to QPR for like a season, and then tried to do boxing for a bit.
Oh.
I totally forgot he even played for QPR. But obviously, he's in there on merit of being a Man United
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
He was the most expensive, I think, English defender. Or he might be the most expensive defender in the world when he first signed for United as well from Leeds.
Very prolific.
Yeah,
prolific
exactly. A
player.
Premier League lifer as well. He went from West Ham to Leeds to Man United to QPR. I
Yeah.
don't think he played anywhere else. Like, you know, absolutely well merited. A Premier League champion on 8 occasions. I'll take your word for it.
It's only a guess.
captained Man United to probably at least two of those. You all right?
It's just that face that Matt did.
All right.
Swing.
No.
Alright, I'm back in the room.
Do you need to take a minute? Yeah.
I'll just switch myself up like Frank Lampard.
And Adams as well. Look, he was the Arsenal captain in their very early Wenger success.
Yeah.
You know, when Wenger first came into the team, Adams was still the sort of stalwart, gritty, grizzled veteran captain of that team, and I think he was there for. I don't think he was there for the Invincibles season, but he was there for their first one in '98, and I think he was there in 2000 or 2001. I can't remember which year they also won the league. But he and yeah, it's well merited. Like, I'm pretty sure he scored a goal. There's a famous goal that he scored where like he is the player that's making the run in behind the defenders, and Martin Tyler is so confused because and it's a goal that like it's a goal against Everton, and it like wins them the Premier League in a particular season. It might have been '98, it might have been 2000 or whenever, but a ball gets played over and he's the person making the run from centre back. And Martin Tyler is baffled by what he's witnessed, and it's a good striker's finish. It's a very famous goal, and I'm not saying that goal is enough to put him in the Hall of Fame, but he does deserve it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
He's a player before my time, so I can't talk too much on him. But that's one of the things that I know. You know, that's one of the highlights of his career that I know of personally. But yeah, I'm surprised that Terry didn't make it at all. And there are a few other names on that. I can't remember everybody on that list now. Andy Cole, that was the other one.
Andy Cole, yeah.
Andy Cole he's in the. He might not be in the top 5 for all-time Premier League scorers anymore because of Kane and Aguero in recent years.
Yeah.
But he's still up there, and he was up there for a long time. He still, as of this recording, holds the joint record for the most goals in a full Premier League season with 34. It's a record that Haaland will probably break in about 4 hours.
Yeah.
Or so.
West Ham tonight, so...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll probably break it in 4 hours, that record. But it's a record that Cole still holds and has held for however many years. I don't know when he set that record. I want to say about 94. So nearly 30 years he's probably held that record for. And he will be in the Hall of Fame, as will John Terry, in probably relatively short order in the next few years or so. To say that any of the players that got in this year don't deserve it would be wrong.
Yeah, it would be. Are you ready now?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Have we got your quiz then that I've already answered?
We'll see.
Hang on, if I've already answered a question, do I get a point?
No.
Oh, that's not fair.
Got to give Matt a chance of winning.
He won last time. No, actually, I don't think he did. I think I won with the last question wins last time.
Come on.
I mean, let's be honest. That's what we're going to do anyway.
We'll start off easy.
You can be 8-0 up, and I'll get the last question right and win.
So we'll start easy. Who was the first club to win the Premier League title?
Man United.
Correct.
What was the rest of that question? Was it just in 1993?
In 1992-93.
Yeah. Right, okay. Well, that's quite easy.
Well, there are 6 ever-present Premier League clubs who have never been relegated. But out of the top 6, out of this list, who has which of these is not been relegated? Wait.
What? There are 6 clubs that haven't been relegated. No, these teams, who hasn't?
No, that's very poorly worded.
It is. Go on.
That. I'll ask a different one because that's very poorly worded, and my dyslexia is having a spasm. Who is the all-time Premier League's top goal scorer?
Alan Shearer.
Oh, I'll give him a chance.
With 260 goals.
Correct. Who has scored the fastest Premier League goal?
Shane Long.
Jesus Christ, mate! You playing all?
I'm flying here. Shane Long against Watford. 7.63.
No.
Oh, that'd have been amazing. What was it? 7.69.
Who has the most Premier League goals in a 38 match season, netting 32?
Well, I mean, that's actually a wrong. That's
Who previously?
I know, but
just if you know, yeah.
Mohamed Salah.
Is it
2017-18?
Which manager has taken charge of the most different Premier League clubs with?
No, I actually don't know this one.
The most.
See, this is a Premier League quiz, so I'm just going to rinse it.
Premier League
the most
clubs.
different teams. This is tough.
I know I've buzzed. I don't really know.
Nice of you to join.
Is it Big Sam?
It is.
I was thinking him or Brucey.
Which?
Add one more to that list now. He's gone to Leeds.
It's now 3-1. Which player represented these clubs in the following order? So he started his career at Coventry.
Robbie Keane.
No, you buzzed.
Damn it.
You're frozen out.
Am I frozen out? That's no fun.
Yeah, got to give Matt a chance. So you went to Coventry, then
Yeah.
Newcastle, then Blackburn, then Liverpool, then West Ham, then Man City, and then back to Liverpool, and then finished his career at Cardiff.
Oh, I know who it is.
Do you want me to give you a hint?
Yes, please.
So
This is going to be
his
this is
initial
gonna be a
no
god-awful hint,
his
then.
his initials are a position on the football pitch. I think that's fair.
That's quite a rogue hint. As soon as you said his initials, I was like, I know exactly where he's going with this.
Yeah.
His initials are a position on a football pitch.
Yeah. So his initials aren't like right winger. It's
Yeah, yeah,
let's
I
say
know.
his initials
Yeah.
were. It would be RW,
Yeah.
but it isn't RW. Just so you know.
I don't know.
Can I buzz back in?
Let him buzz back in.
Go on.
Oh, he's actually said it. Craig Bellamy.
There you go.
Not a clue who that is.
Craig Bellamy. Of course
You
you
don't
do.
know Craig Bellamy? Oh my! Of
course you
Lord.
do. The Welsh
He's a
squad.
Liverpool legend.
He really isn't.
I don't know. Not a clue.
Yeah.
Never heard that
CV.
name
Centre
before.
back. Ding. Centre back.
Oh, here's a good one for you. Sergio Aguero famously won the 2011-2012 title for Man City with his stoppage time strike versus QPR.
Mm-hmm.
But who did runners-up Man United face on that day?
Oh, we both buzzed
Rock,
in.
paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, scissors. Who gets to answer? Oh, wait. Rock, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna, 1, 2. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Is what I was going for.
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Who did Man United face? You know what? I don't actually know.
Why did you buzz?
So I'm just guessing because it's better to
Oh,
guess.
this is
Think
fake.
about Martin Tyler's commentary. It's
This-
finished at
It's
Manchester
finished
City is
that.
still alive
It's
here.
finished that. Oh, where did it finish it?
You know what
Where
it
is
is. You
it-
can hear it, can't you?
Where is it finished at?
It's finished at.
Oh.
Manchester United have done all they can. Manchester City is still alive here. Balotelli.
Aguero.
I actually don't know. I can't think. I'm just gonna throw out a guess and say it's finished at Arsenal or somewhere. I can't remember.
Sunderland.
There you go.
Yeah. The stadium of light.
It's finished at Sunderland.
Who is the only Premier League? Who is the only defender to have won the Premier League Player of the Season award?
Nemanja Vidic.
Freaking hell!
No, if this was
It's
a
going to be
music
multiple
quiz,
times, isn't it?
I'd be way better.
Premier League is just my forte. We've not done a
This is
pure
not
Premier
me.
League one before, so this is just me.
It's
This
not me.
Sir
at all.
Alex Ferguson's final match in charge of Man United.
5-5 against West Brom.
Jesus,
Tell me now, Jacob. You've done this against me, mate.
I've not.
For once, I actually can't see his phone either. Normally, he holds it here.
The record attendance for a Premier League game is 83,222, set in February 2018. What was the fixture?
It was. Ooh. Is it? Man United, Arsenal.
Nope.
Oh, you got one of the teams right. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Tottenham, Man United.
Nope.
What? Isn't it?
No, it's Spurs, Arsenal.
Oh, it's Tottenham Arsenal. I thought it was Tottenham Man United. Oh, I knew it was at. I
Really?
knew it was at Tottenham.
That
yeah.
is surprising.
Final. Oh,
Final question wins it all.
Yeah,
Final
there you go.
question
Oh,
wins
really?
it all.
it's all, to be fair, if you do,
Bobby Grant in.
to be fair, you should. If you get this, then I'll be very, very impressed. Either of you, because it is a very, very under the radar player.
Okay.
Okay.
Who scored the 30,000th?
Marco Brighton.
No.
Damn it! I think he did the 20,000th. Ah, so irritating.
Premier League goal in August 2021.
Oh, it's recent.
2021.
There is a stat about all Brighton scoring one goal.
Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
No.
That I would have left.
I'll give you both another guess.
Ah,
Can you give us a hint?
He plays for currently, I believe, Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest.
did he play for Forest at the time?
No.
John Joe Shelby.
No.
Jesse Lingard.
No. It's Chris Wood.
Oh,
Chris, what
really?
a boring question.
Right,
what
we're
a
gonna-
boring answer to that question.
We're gonna have to have a better one than that.
We're gonna have
aren't we?
another question, are we? Okay.
Final wins all.
Which is a little bit ridiculous, but all right.
No, I'm joking.
Tony, What?
You trying to say the name?
Sorry, Tony
Yeboah?
Yeboah. Sorry, I was thinking what for a minute.
Yeboah.
Tony Yeboah scored 2 memorable goals that crashed in off the crossbar at the start of the 95-96 season.
Mm-hmm.
Who were the goals against?
Both of them.
Yeah.
I think I know one, but I don't know the other. I have a guess for the other.
Who are the goals against? So, which team?
Yeah, I can picture both goals in my head.
Quite memorable goals.
Because does it tell you what he played? Who he played for?
No.
I think he was at Leeds. Go ahead.
Is it Everton?
No.
They were one of my potential guesses. I think one of them's Wimbledon.
Yep.
And is the other one Liverpool?
Correct.
Oh! Incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
See you later, guys.
Yeah. Outro after that.
Well done, Joe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Gracious in defeat.
Appreciated. Yeah, I didn't know it was a Premier League quiz, but
no, I think
that
that-
just is right up my street.
I think that was probably a nice way to conclude the
Yeah, for Jay.
I'm quite...
the final episode of the.
Well, hopefully not the final ever. We'll have to see what we can do when it comes to... Well, we have access to the library for another year, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah.
So, yeah.
Allegedly.
I'll just have to drag you lot back up north to Manchester, won't I?
Up north.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that concludes this episode of the
Football Waffle.
Football Waffle. As always, thank you for your attendance, gentlemen.
You're awfully welcome.
You're welcome, since it's, your podcast.
Actually, I think on that clapper it says director Matt Walker Mills. So.
Yeah.
Well, that signs off my attendance. It's goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from me.
Ciao, ciao, real smooth.
Cut.
Oh, mate.